yesterday's watch review today. Though this one is actually sort of a today's watch review today, maybe even a tomorrow's watch review today. I had a customer send in a watch. He's somebody I talk to regularly, and he made an effort to pick up something that he was hoping he was going to call the G-Shock killer. He bought one of the new SBEP007 digital tunas. He was one of the first people to get his hands on one, and he looked at it, and he had some first impressions, and he sent it to me and said, I said, well, and I got it, and I had some first impressions, and I said, well, do you want me to talk about this thing? And I was like, I don't want to, you tell me if you want me to talk about this. And he said, oh, sure, yeah, go ahead and talk about it. So this is the new digital tuna. It is, I don't know, it's essentially the same size. It's like 48 millimeters. It's essentially the correct same size as a regular old tuna, but instead of having like standard analog hands, it's an LCD in there. I haven't played with all of the features. It's got a bunch of different things that it does. Visually, it's interesting. It's hard to read right off the bat. Is the only thing. It's like it doesn't light up or anything. I mean, I can kind of see it, but you kind of have to like look at it. So I'm going to take a break and let's go over there and let's look at it more closely, and I'll talk about what I think about it. Does this light up? Does it have a light? Where's the light? Is there no light? Dual time mode 20 bar. Let's break and I'll see if I can figure out if there's a light or not. Okay, so here it is in all of its glory. Let me go backwards and just give it some context. So there you go. Digital tuna. People are like, okay, we call it the tuna because it's one of Seiko's billion shrouded type divers. Seiko started with the shrouded divers in the 1970s with the 6159 7010. This was the first shrouded diver they had, the first one that earned the name tuna can. There it is, the real deal. This watch is a high beat. It is automatic, self-winding, and would you, gosh darn it, you come out. Hang on just one second. There we go. I always like to have these things be at the right thing. Hacking, high beat, automatic winding, all that other good stuff. It's a beautiful watch, bidirectional clicking, rotating ring, as was the standard at the time, titanium case. Lovely, lovely watch. Then Seiko went to the next generation, which was the 7549 7009 golden tuna. And the major differences, really, besides the quartz movement, is this one minor difference to the shroud. This has this sort of extension on here, whereas this is sort of cut short. Other than that, they're actually the same case and movement size and everything else like that. But this is one that, it's so popular now that Seiko reissued it, the golden tuna, one of the fantastic watches. Seiko, recognizing that these shrouded divers are a big deal, have started cranking out, they've started watering down their brand and watering down the exclusivity. So damn near everything has a shroud these days. This is the SUN019. This watch model came out a year plus ago. Nice watch. It's the same. They definitely wanted to have some hints of the tuniness. If you look at the crowns, they certainly look similar. They definitely have hints of each other. There are a lot of things I like about the SUN019. I wish it was just like 10% smaller, though. It kills me. It should be just a tiny bit smaller. Beyond that, the proportions are harmonious. Can't wear it on the bracelet, though. It's like a boat anchor. So, then you have this, yet another shrouded diver. Now, the owner said, okay, no, don't pull any punches. This watch was $480. I gotta be real honest. This thing feels so cheap. It weighs almost nothing. This isn't metal, this is plastic. That's plastic. It's got a screw-on back like a regular old G-Shock. I mean, it's hard to read. I don't know, it's got some timer, it's got an alarm. It has no light. The bezel is also plastic. The rotating ring is also plastic. It's hard to turn. God, I'm sitting here trying to turn. I can barely turn it. And it's bidirectional. It's not, I mean, even this, the SUN019, it's unidirectional, and it's a metal ring, and it's super smooth. I mean, I can say what I will about wishing this was slightly smaller, but this feels like a quality watch. This is like plastic. This is like something it feels, in a word, it feels cheap. It feels cheap. $480 is an insult for a watch that's made out of plastic. I mean, if you look at it carefully, you can see it's got, you can see the mold lines right in here. I mean, you can barely turn this. I mean, from a functional standpoint, it's ridiculous. I can't even get a grip on it. I can barely move it. This watch is brand new. So the owner was hoping it was going to be a G-Shock killer. For $480, this would have to be much, much nicer quality to be a quote-unquote G-Shock killer. This is just, I don't know. This is, it's like something you'd find in like the sports section of a supermarket. That's what it feels like to me. You know, I've expressed a lot of frustration with modern Seiko because they don't, to me, seem to understand the foundation of their greatness. They don't seem to understand their own legacy, and they're always seeming to try to be something that they're not. These days, they're mostly, in my opinion, they're mostly producing fashion watches. And, you know, I'm sure this is functional and all that, but if you want this to be some kind of functional dive computer kind of type watchy thing, you can't even make it out of a decent material, and you can't make the rotating ring easy to use, and it's made out of molded plastic. It's just $480. It's an insult. It's like they sit around in their main offices saying, how can we treat our customers worse? I don't know. It's just silly. And again, this is my opinion. It isn't absolute truth. It isn't a fact. There are going to be people out there who really like these, who look the way they look, and they dig them, and that's perfectly cool. And my focus is on vintage Seiko, but I'm really about functionality. I'm really about things being in place on a watch for a reason. Everything that is there for a reason. And so if you have something that is there for a reason, a rotating ring, it should be easy to use. I don't know why it's doing that, but you got to hear how loud it was. You know, if you're going to have something that's functional, make it usable. The rotating ring, I can't use it. It has no light. What if I want to read this thing at night? I mean, maybe it has a light. I just can't find it. Dual time, set, adjust, set. There's no light. I mean, Seiko was producing their digital watches with lights back in the early 1970s. That was almost 50 years ago. $480 and you don't have a light. God help you if you need to read this thing at night. So, I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed. I don't know what Seiko's doing. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know what their long-term business plan is, but sometimes I think they don't have one. I'm sorry. I wish I had more positive things to say about it, but you know, I would. If this watch was $125 or $100, well, that'd be great. You know, what the hell? Strap it on and bang away. For almost $500 for a watch that people are scrapping over, the only good thing I will say is that the button action actually feels really nice. They are nice grippy ends, and they have a nice solid press feel to them. I have no idea. And look, the timer's off again. Okay, well, I hope that was an illuminating yesterday's watch review today. Look, if you're going to buy a Tuna or a sports watch, there are many other options to choose from that aren't this thing. I mean, the SUN019, boy, that's a watch. That's a great watch. Okay. Enough of me complaining. All right, I'll talk to you later.